This is a special presentation of EA Sports from the Coliseum in Oakland, our tribute to the coach, the John Madden Legacy Game. I'm Brandon. One time for old times. What do you say we play some football as we are underway from Oakland in the John Madden Legacy Game? So it's the NFC stars who will get the ball first. And, Charles, as we alluded to, we've got a different era of coach on each sideline. So the man coaching this NFC squad, we'll call him Young John Madden, this is a coach who was trying to establish a foothold in the NFL and on the cusp of doing it very successfully.
Yeah, you think back to that period, those early days as the coach of the Raiders, the late 60s in the AFL and then in the NFL in the early 70s. Coach was a guy who was ahead of his time. The Raiders were one of the first teams to have mini camps, one of the first to film practice, because he wanted to practice coaching as much as he could. And his teams, they were successful right from the start of his head coaching tenure.
To throw is far. Hit as he throws there, incomplete.
That was their first third down try of the game, and clearly something was off in the execution of that play. Good news, they've got a whole game left to clean that up and start clicking on those key third down throws.
Wishnowski on to punt as he sends this one away. A big kick there. We'll call it 56 yards on the punt. And the AFC will take over 1st and 10. So, Charles, as mentioned, we've got another Coach Madden over here on the AFC sideline. Of course, his Raiders, members of the AFC West. So this is a conference he battled in for his entire career. And you think about the landscape of the NFL as he was getting into the back half of his tenure. It was a golden era for coaches. You had Don Shula, Tom Landry, Chuck Noll, Bud Grant. But it was John Madden who had the best winning percentage of them all, CD. 759, the best ever.
Brandon, it's hard to believe he could be so successful in the conference with all those great teams. The Steelers won 4 Super Bowls. The Dolphins won 2 and were a mainstay in the playoffs. The Colts were tough. The Broncos came on late and went to a Super Bowl themselves. But against Hall of Fame coaches, John Madden's record, 36, 16, and 2. That's pretty incredible. His Raiders were a factor each and every year.
Call it a pickup of 3 and also now likely a punt on their opening drive. So opening drive, 3 straight runs, unable to pick up the first.
I know the fans want to see first downs, but guess what? The coaches have reasons for what they're doing. Sometimes they've scripted it, and some of these runs, while they haven't been successful now, they may be successful later on.
On the return, Hester. And he'll take this across the 25 before going out of bounds. The NFC offense coming out here, and you know, Charles, Coach Madden always said that if he had one drive to win a game and he had to pick a quarterback, he would pick Kenny Stabler. But I think if you asked him to omit any of his Raiders players, there's a good chance the guy he'd select would be Brett Favre.
Brett Favre is always smiling. He's always laughing. He's always talking to someone. He remembers that it's a game, and if it's a game, you should have fun.
And, Brandon, that always reminds me of a great movie line where one of the players was telling the coach, every time I say it's a game, you say it's a business. And every time I say it's a business, you say it's a game. With Coach, it was always a game.
He'll rifle this one deep right side. That's going to be knocked away and incomplete.
I love those corners who can not only cover, but don't mind getting a little physical as well. How about the coverage on that play, knocking that pass away?
They're going on 4th down. It's far. Nowhere to go here. He lost the football. Now the offense will recover, but it won't make much difference here. This will still be a turnover on downs. Boy, a real head-scratcher there. And, boy, possession here turns over with the football already being in the red zone. Brady now on 1st down. He's going to be sacked back at the 23-yard line. Give the sack to Lawrence Taylor.
It's interesting, partner, that most defenses try and guard the 35-yard line actively because they think the way kickers are nowadays, about a 52-yard field goal, they're kind of giving up points. But you get even deeper into territory, you get into the red zone, they're going to guard it even more, which means more pressure, more blitzing.
So as we mentioned at the top, well, let's take you through the life of John Madden. And, you know, it's very fitting that we're here back in the Bay Area, not just because John's so associated with Raider football, but also because this was where he spent his formative years.
Yeah, he grew up over in Daly City with his buddy John Robinson.
Trying for Brown, and it's intercepted. Picked up by the Hall of Famer John Lynch. The offense for the NFC ready to get their next drive started. They start on the ground here at Sanders. And he's taken down but able to slip across the 35. So we're through one at the Coliseum in Oakland. 0-0 our score. This is the John Madden legacy. The NFC with the football here to begin the second quarter. As they've got it with a 1st and 10. Off the play fake, here's Favre. And this one nearly picked off. Kind of surprising to see a defender of his caliber let it get away, but get away it does, and it's 2nd down. And that'll fall incomplete. He was hit just as he let that go. And now it's 3rd down. Now they face a 3rd and 10 after back-to-back incompletions. Throwing is Favre. He'll get this complete to Cooper Kupp. And they're going to have this across midfield and inside the 45. But Charles, you mentioned Coach was a 21st-round draft pick back in 1958. It was the Philadelphia Eagles who selected him. But unfortunately for John, knee problems, they just continued to dog him. He was hurt in his first training camp. Actually never saw the field as a player in the NFL. But it was still during his time with the Eagles, you and I were talking about this before going on air, that you could start to see the light bulb going on for what his career path might entail.
And it went on in a big way, didn't it? Because while he was rehabbing his knee, he started to spend a lot of time breaking down film with the Eagles with quarterback Norm Van Brocklin, the future Hall of Famer and future head coach in the NFL. Remember, Van Brocklin coached with the Falcons, he coached with the Vikings. And it was there during that time, I think Coach Madden realized his love of football and love for teaching, combining all that together, and that meant being a football coach. So in 1960, began his coaching career at a small college south of San Luis Obispo called Allen Hancock, and then later at San Diego State University under another legendary coach, the guy who could throw it around pretty well, Don Coryell.
The AFC offense heading back out. You know, Charles, Coach really loved to utilize his tight ends in the passing game. You think about Dave Casper, Hall of Famer for those great Raider teams. And I think he saw a lot of Dave Casper in an all-Madden staple, Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez is the type of tight end I think everyone's looking for. He's a guy that can make some big plays from that tight end position. Let me tell you, you better make sure you have him accounted for on every play.
And that's exactly right, because Dave Casper, he could shred defenses down the middle of the field. And that's exactly what Tony Gonzalez did in his entire career. A 14-time Pro Bowl selection. Only Tom Brady has more. There's 6 guys in the 15,000-yard receiving club. He's the only tight end in there. Tony Gonzalez, every snap you had to know where he was because he could make plays short, medium, and long, and often put the ball in the end zone.
Coming up here looking for 3 yards to pick up the first. Brady going to try and throw on 3rd down. They complete it to Hill. And he'll be taken down, but he does have 1st down yardage. But Charles, you know, it was in the early 1960s that a young John Madden made the acquaintance of the owner of the Oakland Raiders, one Al Davis, of course, and the two, they really bonded, would become one of the best owner-coach duos in NFL history. And to take it a step further, Al Davis became someone who John referred to as his best friend.
Yeah, in 1967, Brandon, Al Davis hired Coach Madden to be a linebackers coach. Remember, this was still the AFL at that point. They had not merged totally with the NFL. And Coach Madden, he paid dividends almost immediately. Helped the Raiders win the AFL title in 1968. And that meant a date with the Green Bay Packers in what was now known as Super Bowl II. But by 1969, at the age of 32, just 32, Brandon, John Madden assumed the mantle of head coach of the Oakland Raiders. And what a ride he, the Raiders, and the NFL were about to go on.
On is the Hall of Famer Ray Guy to punt this away on 4th down. He steps into this one, and this is a rocket. Here's Hester. So we're at halftime of the John Madden Legacy game, and now we present a special tribute to the man of the hour, narrated by the Raiders' own Trey Mosley. The AFC going to get the football first here as we are back underway from Oakland in the John Madden Legacy game. A fairly short kick from the 14. The offense for the AFC set to go now. And Charles, a scoreless first half. How does that change how you assess things here moving forward?
Well, it doesn't change it a whole lot because, remember, it's still scoreless, which means you're starting from 0 again, so you just have one half to play instead of 2. What I would look at my play sheet, though, and see is something that maybe loosens things up for my guys, gets a smile on their faces, and gets them going to begin the second half.
So now, Charles, to pick up the story we've been telling, John Madden at 42, he just completed a 10-year stint as the coach of the Raiders. He wants to step away a bit from the grind of coaching, but he doesn't want to step away from the game of football. So he ends up signing on with CBS in 1979 to try his hand at broadcasting. And much like his coaching career, he was pretty much an instant success.
Partner, he really connected with the people right from the start, and people may not remember he wasn't even on the number 1.
The ball comes out.
This drive didn't end well, but if they can keep stringing these together, they'll like what they're doing. That was an 8-play drive before it ended in a fumble. So the takeaway's got to be doing what we want to do and doing it well. Just got to take care of the ball at the end.
So for Coach Madden, Charles, by 1981, his broadcasting career is really taking off. He's elevated to the network's #1 booth that calls all the big matchups. And he gets the plum assignment of calling Super Bowl 16, 49ers and Bengals, and he's teamed up with Pat Summerall. And that pairing ultimately would go on to be one of the most influential in sports broadcasting history.
Influential not just in us listening to them. Remember, they went on and called 8 Super Bowls together. But how they put together kind of the template that all of us broadcasters follow now. Sitting down with the head coaches and the quarterbacks and the stars of each team before a ball game to get extra information. And the way that those two paired together, Pat Summerall, short, concise, to the point, and turned it over to Coach Madden to fill in all the big details.
So they'll come up after the gain of 7 on a 2nd and 3. Three quarters have come and gone at the Coliseum. Back now here on EA Sports as we're about ready to rock and roll for the 4th and final quarter. They stay on the ground with Allen. Looking for a seam, but finding none. He'll get back to the line of scrimmage, and that's it. Call it no gain that time as it's going to leave him with a 3rd and about 3 to go. Now Brady. And this is going to be intercepted. Deion Sanders, the Hall of Famer, with a pick. There he goes left side. And he's going to bring this one back for an NFC touchdown. Well, I mean, both offenses have clearly struggled throughout, so kind of fitting that it's another big defensive play that yields points here in the late going.
Yeah, really, both of these defenses have been up to the task throughout this game, and we haven't seen much in terms of offensive creativity or results. And there, not only does the defense force a turnover, but they have the presence of mind to take it back for 6 points.
Morton Anderson now for the extra point. His kick is good, and the NFC goes up 7-0. A heck of a play there defensively, getting the interception, navigating his way into the end zone for the touchdown. So they'll get another shot on offense following that pick 6, and now the kick is away. Taken at the 15, a short kick. And they're going to start this drive in pretty good shape up past the 30. The AFC offense set to take their next drive. And can they regroup? That's the question. The pick six hurt, no doubt, but this is still a one-score game here in the fourth. As you mentioned, CD, talking about John Madden, the broadcaster, he called 8 Super Bowls with Pat Summerall, 3 more with Al Michaels later in his career. He spent nearly 3 decades in the booth all told. And not only was he beloved for his mannerisms, we know that, but he was an innovator as well.
Yeah, Brandon, you talk about things like the telestrator, which totally became identified with him, and now it's a staple for all analysts to have in the booth. And then you think about things like turducken on Thanksgiving, when he used words like boom and pow. He helped create the old Madden team. He was a very popular commercial pitch man. And even the Madden Cruiser was unique, and you had to be someone to get a ride on it, too.
Now a shot taken on third down, but it's going to wind up incomplete. They'll run for it. This is Allen. And they bring him to the ground just shy of midfield. A big pickup of 12 yards on fourth down to keep this drive from stalling. Now, CD, we did get a little ahead of ourselves talking about John Madden, the broadcaster in the 90s and 2000s, because there was another product during that time period that he became quite famous for. It's something that you and I know a little bit about, and that's the video game that bears his name. Originally John Madden Football when it was first released back in the late 1980s, and now known the world over simply as Madden.
And Coach saw this originally as a way to teach the game of football. The early designs were for a 7-on-7 game, but he said no chance. He would not sign off on it. He wanted to be as realistic as possible. He told them, call me when it's 11-on-11. And he got his wish.
Yeah, after that debut, Madden, the video game, continued to pick up steam through the 90s in a big way. And John himself, many will remember, was a commentator for the series for many years. And now here we are in the 2020s, and this game has sold somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 million copies. Brady's throw on third down there is incomplete.
With that incompletion, reality is staring them right in the face. This entire game is down to the next snap.
Now Brady got to have this one. And he's brought down. Can't do anything with a football. It's a sack and a turnover on downs. They had to go for it with such little time remaining, and that will force a turnover on downs. And he gets it inside the 35 and just shy of the 30. Now the AFC going to use the first of their timeouts as they'll head to the sideline and talk over what to do next. They're not totally home free yet, but it's looking good as they come up 1st and 10. And I think this defense knew what was coming as he is smothered behind the line. Now a second timeout called for by the defense as they'll get it with just over 90 seconds to go in the ball game. You'd have to think likely another running play coming here, 2nd and 11. That one looks like he'll throw here. He's going to let this go. Back of the end zone. And he bats it away, and it falls down incomplete. An incomplete pass on that last play, and that means they'll need to come up with something here on third down. Now, meanwhile, a pass that should have been intercepted, but it winds up falling incomplete.
That is certainly one way to frustrate a quarterback. Run those extra defenders on the field. Dime package, lots of speed, no space to fit in the football.
They'll try and throw for it with Favre. He lets this one fly toward the back of the end zone. And he knocks the ball away, and it falls incomplete. A few better down a score in the fourth quarter than Tom Brady. This is 1st and 10. They begin the drive on the ground with Allen. And he'll get this one up to about the 39 here. And we've reached the 1-minute mark in this game. Now, meanwhile, the throw by Brady knocked away, incomplete. So, CD, you look at the accumulation of John Madden's achievements in the world of football, the coaching success, the Super Bowl title, the incredible career as a broadcaster with 12. And Brady going to be intercepted a third time. And the possession is theirs at their own 43-yard line. Scoring has really been at a premium. And, Charles, you got to tip your cap to this defense coming in here. Their offense, too, but this whole team coming in here on the road, getting a hard-fought win.
I think the way that they're finishing this one up, an exclamation point on a terrific game. As you noted, hard for them to put points on the board, and they hold them down one more time and finalize things.
He's going to take another shot here. And it's knocked away and incomplete. So now 2nd and 10 after the incompletion on first down. He's going to let it go again. That's going to be knocked away and incomplete. So back-to-back incompletions, and that has him staring at a 3rd and 10. Dancing to his left. And now another one thrown incomplete.
Sometimes the game is pretty simple. Put a few extra defensive backs on the field, give them nowhere to throw the football, force the incompletion, and get off the field on 3rd down.
Averaging 50 yards a boot so far as this one's away. The offense for the AFC set to go now. And we've seen drive after drive come up empty for them, and they've yet to dent the scoreboard, yet still right in the middle of a one-score game.
So this is where you absolutely have to forget everything that's happened in your previous drives. They don't matter right now. You just mentioned it. One-score game. This drive here can erase all of what happened previously. There's no question that coming into this game, this defense was pretty vocal about its desire to take this running back out of his game, and all that pregame wolfing has turned into results.
And his pass is intercepted for the 4th time today. And he's able to get it back to right around the 27.
Brandon, offensively, this has been a tough day for him. Trying to find a place to throw the football. It's been extremely difficult. I've got to give a lot of credit to the secondary, especially the corners who have had the receivers on lockdown.
First and 10, and kind of tipping their hand at running the ball. 3 tight ends are out there. Favre. And he bats it away, and it falls down incomplete.
But based on the play we just saw there, he might not be the guy you want to challenge in coverage on these all-important snaps. He certainly looks dialed in right now.
So now one of the biggest kicks of the night is forthcoming. This to perhaps salt this one away. And that is no good. And this will remain a 1-touchdown game.
Well, this winds up an empty possession. Everything looked okay. He just never got the ball on target. And knowing him, he'll be disappointed with that effort.
The AFC offense set to take their next drive. And they've sort of lost their way, partner. How do they recalibrate and get this proverbial train back on track?
Well, this is where leadership really comes into play. How's the head coach handling it? The offensive coordinator?
So it's a win here for the NFC. Just an incredible afternoon of football and remembering the life of John Madden. And before we go, one final message. And for all of us at EA Sports, this one's for you, Coach.